These guys win the prize for the most eerily named group of butterflies, with names out of a Neil Gaiman graphic novel. They're fairly small butterflies, dark erratic flyers that predominantly fly in the spring and have a propensity for extracting minerals and moisture from wet spots on dirt roads and animal scat. Today we examine the Duskywings, 9 species altogether, but only 7 that regularly show up in the Badger State. First, a little terminology will help us. Many Duskywings have a segment of white spots, sometimes looking like blocks piled up, on the wing's leading edge not far from the wingtip. These spots are called hyaline, the term being a synonym for glassy because the spots let light pass through. So they show up both above and below on the butterfly wing. The arrangement of the spots or their absence helps us identify Duskywings. Other terms can be learned by reviewing our Anatomy 101 video. Our most widespread and commonest species is Juvenal's Duskywing, which has a single brood in spring, flying from May into June in Wisconsin. Because oaks serve as a caterpillar food, juvenals are generalists and can be found from southern Canada to Florida and Texas. Measuring from 1.25 to 2 inches from wingtip to wingtip, this is our largest Duskywing in Wisconsin as well. As this image shows, Juvenals has multiple hyaline spots, one showing up at the middle of the wing's costal margin, a pile of 4, again half the distance to the wingtip, and 2 more in the discal area. In addition, there are several lighter markings along the wing margins, though these do not let light pass through. Females have a squarish lighter area between the hyaline spots on the costal margin. Similar in size to the juveniles, the mottled Duskywing has a much smaller known range in Wisconsin, restricted to barrens in our northwesternmost counties, Douglas and Burnett. This historically eastern species has a few isolated populations in Colorado and Wyoming, but seems to be all but disappearing from eastern states due to the loss of host plant New Jersey tea, Ceanothus americanus, according to the New York Natural Heritage Program. Why is the Jersey tea disappearing? It's a favored food of one of our more prolific herbivores, the white-tailed deer. The forewing's mottled pattern of darker and lighter brown zigzags makes the mottled an easy identification, at least for Duskywings. But make sure it's got the hyaline spots. Creeks Meadows is the only place I've seen mottled Duskywings, having been shown the preferred habitat by Dean Hansen many years ago. Just east of the Rigel Overlook, the hillsides north of the agricultural field host a population that hilltops throughout the flight period. Another strong population can be found in the hills just west of the James Road-Klotz Road intersection. The hyaline spots are missing or greatly reduced in the dreamy and sleepy Duskywings. Sleepies can be found in drier habitats where small oaks are found, while dreamies fly where willows and poplar grow in wetter areas. But neither is a common species, and both are far rarer finds than juveniles. Barrens are the best habitats for these species. Sleepy Duskywings span 1 1/4 to 1 3/4 inches wide and sport 2 grayish bands, sharply outlined in dark brown in the forewing. Dreamy Duskywings, smaller at 1 to 1 1/3 inches wide, have less defined gray areas on the forewing. I focus on the more defined gray square on the Sleepy's forewing's costal margin, though habitat is more useful in differentiating these similar species. Glassberg, in his Swift Guide, notes that the Sleepy has short pulps, while the dreamies are longer, another aid to identification. The Perseus Duskywing, aka hairy Duskywing, is much smaller than juveniles, with a wingspan of slightly more than an inch. The hyaline spots, 3/4 of the distance along the costal margin from the head, are lined up neatly. Sharing wild lupin as a host plant with Carner's blues, one would think that both butterflies would be found in the same habitats. But Mike Reese at wisconsinbutterflies.org finds the Perseus much rarer to find than Carner's blue. Indeed, the species is of special concern in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and elsewhere. Creeks Meadows in Burnett County and Jackson County's Bower Brockway area are good spots to find Perseus. Wild indigo and columbine duskywings are small, like the Perseus, and are very difficult to tell apart visually. Typically, observers note the abundance of their caterpillar host plants in the area to verify identification, though this is only evidence, not proof. I found the columbine duskywing in the steep prairies along the Mississippi River in southwestern Wisconsin, noting lots of columbine growing along roads. Wild indigos are more widespread, but at lower elevations, as they have expanded their caterpillar host plants to include crown vetch along with wild indigo. Reese notes that both species are most likely to be found in areas near the Mississippi River. They both also have a longer flight period. Both the funereal and Horace's duskywings are rare migrants from southern states. I found both late in the season nectaring on Verbena bonariensis at Ulbricht's Botanical Gardens in Madison. The funereal has a pronounced white fringe on the hind wings margin and fewer light spots than juveniles. Horace's is similar in size and appearance to juveniles, has obvious mottled patterning on the forewing. Both these species appear well past juveniles' early flight period and are significant rarities in Wisconsin. Duskywings certainly are one of the harder groups of butterflies to learn. They aren't showy like swallowtails or the ladies, they're harder to find than hackberry emperors or red admirals, and their markings take a trained eye to see. For all these reasons, exploring the lives of duskywings can be a rewarding pursuit for any butterflyer.